Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member Rogers, and I appreciate our witnesses being here today. I know y'all are very busy, so thank you for carving time out of your days for us. Mrs. McLean mentioned before, and I want to touch on some more general, the matter of munitions, specifically precision guided munitions. In the testimony, it was discussed that there are a limited number of suppliers for key components of those precision guided munitions. Those are critical assets that are in high demand. What are we doing to ensure that we're going to keep these suppliers alive when it looks like our munitions budget is being cut by about 25%? Is that a concern for you, and what are we addressing? How are we addressing that going forward?
No, I think it is a concern. I mean, I think we learned a lot about supply chain, and as you said, some of these precision munitions take they have some long lead type items that you have to purchase, and that's part of our equation. We take a look at it. So we may be buying long lead, not necessarily, we always have to be a little more finesse in these type systems. If we can't afford the entire munition, we may buy the long range up front, the long lead type items, and go ahead and do that. But we're taking a close look at that and trying to do the best we can within the budget we have.
Well, I know for a lot of these suppliers, predictability and consistency from one year to the next, we budget in this 12-month cycle, but they need to look out long term, so that they need to know that we're going to be there consistently buying for them to keep their processes in place. I want to touch a little bit more on this issue we've talked a little bit regarding discrimination. A couple of members have brought it up in his opening remarks. Chairman Smith had addressed the issue of discrimination in the ranks and the services issues to eradicate it. I think we can all agree that it's very important. Secretary Wormuth, you spoke about the importance of building cohesive teams. General, you did as well, and talking about the need for dignity and respect. In my experience, whether it's sports teams, military units, businesses, really the foundation of that cohesiveness, I think, is fundamentally comes down to trust, and that trust is really built on a matter of character and competence. And certainly, if there's discrimination in the ranks, that's going to erode at that character element. I've been surprised. I've had a number of constituents who are on active duty, a lot of veterans, but I'm placing more stock currently in the active duty folks, reach out to me. Which is kind of surprising. I never in my 26 years in the Navy would have ever dreamed of going outside the chain of command to reach out to someone in Congress, but there's a lot of concern. One in particular, I thought so much about it. I called this gentleman up, spoke to him at length. He is an Army senior non-commissioned officer. His concern is that we are potentially sowing distrust among the troops, and that we're kind of telling these people in a military that has civilian oversight that your leaders basically can't be trusted. Whether they know it or not, inherently they've got bias, and everything they do and every decision they make is viewed through a lens of race that they can't help. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but General, well, and he went on to say that I'm teaching these guys, these folks, and he's in a leadership position or a training capacity. These are folks that are going to have to give orders in combat. They're going to have to give them and receive them. And his concern is, are we creating a climate of mistrust where when someone makes a decision that's a life or death moment, and it may involve the death of soldiers, is someone going to stop to think, now, is that order being given through a lens of race? What measures have you taken to help ensure that your commander's intent isn't being distorted by the time it reaches the deck plate levels?
I think what's really important is our approach to all these, what some people would call harmful behaviors. How do you get after sexual harassment, sexual assault? How do you get after, extremism, racism, if there is in your organizations? And I argue that's why it starts with building cohesive teams, where you treat everyone with dignity and respect, and you bring them together. We've done a lot of, it's interesting. I know we don't have a long answer, but you go to someone that does this for a living, that wrote the tribe, and how you build cohesive teams for civilians. Well, you get a small group together, you take them along a hike, you have them stay out overnight, and that's really good for building cohesive teams. That's exactly what we do in the Army. Is we've got to build cohesive teams. We've got to trust commanders. And we've got to make sure, as we change anything, that commanders are the ones that are going to make this happen. Leaders are the ones that are going to make things happen in the Army. We should never forget that.
Thank you, General. I'll yield back.